Hey everyone, welcome to TaBola Journey. I recently moved from Austin to New York, and so I'm in a new space right now, temporarily. In this video, I'm gonna talk about some of the stories of transporting the tabla on the domestic flight, and also talk about how the climate is continuously teaching me how the tabla is changing and the way it sounds. So that's what we're going to talk about. If you're new here, I'm Smith. I used to live in Austin, Texas, and I recently moved to New York, and I'm just documenting my journey of teaching myself how to play tabla. I think this is month 4 or 5 of me continuously playing tabla, and I'm really glad that you're here. Let's get into it.
Learn it slow. Once you learn it slow, you know how it's going. It has a groove.
So I'm glad that you're here. I'm gonna just briefly talk about the fact that these two drums, this set of drums, tabla, came with me as I moved to New York. And this was my first time carrying them on an airplane on the flight. And honestly, I was a little nervous about that. And what I was the most nervous about was obviously first making it through the securities, making sure that it wouldn't have any issues. I looked up on Reddit threads and people had said that it's usually no problem. So I was nervous about that. And then second, in the transport, I wanted to make sure that they don't really damage the tabla. So I was being very careful with that. I carried them on my carry-on, did not check it in. I would not recommend doing that. And I carried them in this temporary or this case that it came in with. So I didn't have like a hard case, suitcase or anything like that. So I basically just packed them nicely. It was definitely caught by the security because they needed to see what was in this. And even though it has went through X-ray, it was cool to see them show up on X-ray, and they were able to see exactly what the materials were, copper and all this stuff. And it went through. It went all right. This was fairly heavy. The dagga was like it's about 5 kg. This is about like 2.5 to 3 kg, and so I was really carrying that on my shoulders. But it was able to fit nicely in the cabin space. So yeah, there was no problem with that, and I just made sure that it never left my sight. So even if I was ready to kind of go into battle, if kiosk person was gonna say like, "Hey, sir, you have to check in your carry-on because we're at capacity," I was ready to go into the battle, but it didn't happen. I would never let that happen. But yeah, I'm in a new space here, New York, much colder than Austin. And one of the first things that I mentioned in my previous video, probably 2 videos ago, is how does the skin specifically on the dagga changes when it's in a colder climate. It just feels it's a lot more tighter. And today I haven't actually done my riyaz today, and so this will be cool. And I'd love to kind of make the sound of like what it sounds like right now. And then what I've learned is that it sounds kind of like very like the frequency is very high, so it's not necessarily to my liking. And what I'm realizing is that after I play it for like 5 to 10 minutes is when it starts to kind of get to the type of pitch that I like. And that's super interesting to me because in Austin, I didn't really experience that. I could start playing and it would just, for the most part, start like sound good from the beginning. But now is not the case. I have to really like warm up the instruments again, specifically the dagga has been really not giving me that issue. So that's kind of interesting too. Maybe it's because it's like a smaller radius, smaller surface area for the skin compared to here. But it's super interesting. I'm gonna, put the mic down and I'm gonna start kind of doing the riyaz and I'm glad that you're here and tune in. Let's get it. I've had to use these pegs on the dagga to kind of keep them stretched, and then when I start playing, I kind of give it like make it loose again. It's starting to sound close to like what I like. The dagga is starting to sound really good now. Really, the only way I can describe it is from the videos of other people referring to it as this. Is the mitas of dagga that I want to hear is starting to get now. That's the sound I'm looking for. That that is the bhajan lehra that I recently learned, and usually I had been doing my riyaz in the evenings when I was in Austin, but since moving to New York, I've started to do my riyaz during the morning, in the morning, first thing up, and that's been a really good change in pace. I am on a third floor. My apartment is on a third floor and it is overlooking the Hudson River. And so I am facing right outside of the balcony and I get to see the river, the bridge, the town underneath, like below in the valley. And it's just a really nice way for me to start off in the morning by playing tabla. It's kind of part of my meditation. And then seeing the river and the hills on the other side of the river kind of light up by the sunrise, and that's been super joyous. And this lera of the bhajan lera is like kind of contributing to that as well. It's my way of really meditating in the morning and being mindful while having fun and just playing the tabla. That's gonna be it for the video. Thanks again for tuning in. This is Smith. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment here. If you're in the area, in New York City area, leave a comment for sure. I'd love to meet up and grow, like, be a part of the community here that play tabla. Until next time, thanks for being on TaBola Journey. Bye.